everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to talk about something that I'm sure is on many people's minds these days because we are faced with many global crises and many individual difficulties which require that we consider the advice of experts. So it goes without saying, when we decide what to do, both individually and collectively, we need to rely on experts. So when you're ill, you go to the doctor. When your car breaks down, you consult a mechanic. But very often, what we find is that the experts, or better yet, maybe the putative experts, disagree. So of course, this can happen if you go to a doctor and get one opinion and then go to another doctor and get a second opinion, and they disagree with one another. You need to decide which doctor to trust. And this happens at a larger scale when it comes to collective decisions as well. So here are some examples. One example is climate science. Even though most climate scientists, the vast majority, agree that human greenhouse gas emissions are causing global warming, there is still a small but quite vociferous group of scientists who disagree. They present themselves as experts as well, and so we again have a case where it looks like there's two groups of experts who disagree. Another example is vaccines. Again, most medical professionals agree that vaccines that have been in use for many years, such as the MMR vaccine against measles, mumps, and rubella, are perfectly safe to use. However, there are some people, some of whom even have medical credentials, who are self-professed experts and who disagree with this and claim that vaccines are unsafe. The third example that is very close to many of our thoughts at the moment is the case of masks, whether to wear masks in public places. There's in most countries, it's been decided that it should be recommended that the general population wears masks in ordinary circumstances where they can't be socially distant. And this recommendation has come into effect on the basis of the advice of a fairly large group of scientists. However, there's still opposition to this view. In Sweden, for example, the experts at the Public Health Agency disagree with this kind of general view that it's useful to wear masks in public when you cannot be socially distant. Of course, in Sweden, healthcare professionals wear masks, but the question is about the general public. And the disagreement, at least in part, concerns whether masks are in fact effective at slowing the spread of viruses. In all of these cases, the experts seem to disagree. And the question in these cases is, when they disagree, which ones should we trust? So this actually presents a kind of a conundrum, which is called the novice to expert problem by the philosopher Alvin Goldman. So the problem arises from the fact that as novices about a topic, we are unlikely to know the truth about that topic. That's why we need to find experts. That's why we need to ask for their advice. So if we want to make a well-informed decision about, for example, climate policy, or whether to vaccinate our children, or whether to wear a mask in a supermarket, we just can't rely on what we already know as novices. In contrast, the experts on a topic are likely to know about that topic, right? That's just what it is to be an expert. So as novices, if we want our decisions to be well-informed, we need to trust the experts. And of course, in many cases, for example, with climate change, with vaccination, with a pandemic, we can't just wait till the experts sort it out before we decide what to do. We have to make a decision even before that disagreement has been settled. But the problem is that there's a stumbling block. When we find that the experts disagree, we need to decide which of those experts to trust. Are humans a significant cause of global warming or not? Well, some experts say yes, some experts say no. Which ones should we trust? And the problem is that as novices, we by definition lack the expertise to decide which experts to trust. Okay, and things get worse. What makes it worse is that the internet now gives charlatans a much wider reach. The problem of expert disagreement has been around for a very, very long time. In fact, it's discussed by both Plato and Aristotle. But the internet gives a huge scope for people to put out all sorts of misinformation. For example, at the start of the current pandemic, the World Health Organization warned of an infodemic in which misinformation, bogus cures, and conspiracy theories were spreading faster than the virus itself. And this misinformation just continues its rampant spread online. The second reason why we have a particular problem right now is that interest groups of various kinds have been manufacturing expert disagreement in order to throw dust in our eyes. For example, as Naomi Oreskes and Eric Conway describe in The Merchants of Doubt, the tobacco industry a long time ago was paying scientists to disagree with the consensus that had been growing that smoking causes cancer. And this technique is being used now, as they describe, by the oil industry in order to manufacture disagreement about climate change. So there's all of this misinformation that produces an environment, a kind of informational environment that's extremely poor, right? We have a lot of confusing signals that are coming from all sorts of different sources, and this makes it particularly difficult for us to work out who the real experts are. And finally, this kind of poor informational environment interacts with our own kind of psychological dispositions, our own biases, our background beliefs, and this might lead us also astray. For example, fear often makes people seek out simple explanations of our circumstances or problems, particularly explanations that involve human agency or simplify problems in a way that makes them easier to solve. For example, Many people have started to believe, in the face of the fear of becoming ill or dying from COVID-19, many people are tempted to believe the simple explanation that it's being caused by 5G towers. Why? Well, in part, this makes sense. It gives us a kind of intentional explanation in terms of human agency. It makes sense of this thing that is otherwise just a random and chance-like occurrence. And moreover, it makes the problem apparently easier to solve. Just get rid of the 5G masks and we're done. But unfortunately, that's not the way it is. Indeed, in many cases, our background beliefs can quite reasonably influence our evaluation of experts, though often this can lead us astray. So for example, if we want to determine whether to trust anyone's testimony under any circumstances, we need to work out if they're likely to be sincere and if they're competent on the topic on which they're giving testimony. This is something that we do all the time because we often get a lot of our knowledge from other people. Everything you learned in school, you learned from other people in the form of textbooks, in the form of written testimony. And often we will just ask people, if you want to know what time the train is coming, you might ask someone at the train station if they know, and we get information in that way. And in all of these cases, we generally tend to think that people are going to be sincere and that they're reasonably competent on the question at hand. But these are two questions when we're faced with experts that we also need to ask ourselves, right? We need to figure out whether what they say on the topic in question is likely to be true. And the only way in which we can do this is to measure what they say against our prior beliefs. So for example, I'm not going to trust someone on geology or cosmology if I find out that they believe that the Earth is flat. But ultimately, that's because I have a prior belief that the Earth is not flat, with which their beliefs disagree. So we have to use our own judgment in order to evaluate the experts. And of course, the problem is that we don't have knowledge, we don't have the relevant knowledge in order to be able to do that. Fortunately, there is a way out. There is evidence that we can rely on to assess expertise, though I think we have to be careful about how we evaluate it and how much weight we give to it. So none of the evidence I'm going to present now is knockdown evidence. It doesn't mean that it just decides the question, but these are some things that you can think about when you're trying to figure out which experts to believe on a particular question. Okay, The first kind of evidence we can rely on is our own evaluation of the experts' arguments, the arguments they themselves give in support of their views.
To continue watching this video, click the link in the top left or in the description below, or visit iai.tv for more debates and talks from the world's leading thinkers on today's biggest ideas.